Welcome, friends. My name is Chris Bishop, and I'm with Heart First Yoga and Wellness. I'm also a teaching fellow at the Mind Tribes Yoga Lab. What I have in mind to share with you today is a 60-minute all levels power vinyasa class. So there will be no crazy acrobatic, super athletic poses that we do today. And in terms of a power yoga practice, I've tried to choose some poses and a sequence that would be fairly accessible for lots of different bodies. So the intention is that it be all levels, but make no mistake, this is a practice that's rooted in the power tradition. So one of the reasons that I tell you these things, power yoga isn't necessarily for everyone, or not every pose within a power yoga practice is for me or for anybody else. So I'll offer some modifications. I'll offer opportunities for the use of props. Props we can use to either add sensation to a pose or to take sensation away from a pose. So I would encourage you, they're an important part of my practice, and I would encourage you to consider using them to supplement your practice as well. I'm going to ask you to start today in a child's pose. So come down onto your mat, knees out nice and wide. Bring, maybe even, if it's okay for your hip flexors, maybe even hip distance apart. Bring your big toes together to touch. Press the shoelace parts of your feet down into your mat. And then press your seat down towards your heels. Reach your arms up over your head. Rest your forehead on something. So if your forehead doesn't easily and naturally come down to the mat, grab a block, place the block under your forehead. And just arrive in this shape. So anything else that's happened to you today leading you up to this moment, set that all aside. It's all done. It's behind you now. And anything that's coming up for you when you finish this practice an hour from now, that's ahead of you. Just be where you are right now. So settle in right into this moment. So one way to do that is to find some anchors to the present moment. So notice where you feel the sensation in this shape. So it could be the sense of your mat pressing back up into your body in all the places that you're coming into contact with it. Or it could be the sensation of your breath. So it doesn't really matter which sensation, but I would choose the most provocative sensation you're experiencing and settle your attention right there. Start to lengthen out both your inhale and your exhale breath. If you're getting way too much sensation in your hip flexors, a couple of options. One, you can take a block, you can place it under your seat, under your hips to prop yourself up. Another is you can shift into puppy dog pose, which the front plane of the body, it looks really similar, but the back plane, the feet, the shins, the knees are all parallel to one another, hip distance apart, and the hips are stacked directly over the knees. So my hips tend to draw forward ahead of my knees a little bit, so it doesn't have to be perfect. That's okay. Now, if you have a yoga practice and you're familiar with a victorious breath, Ujjayi breathing, begin your Ujjayi. But if not, that's okay. Draw in a nice deep breath, hold it at the top, and then on an exhale, release the breath through your nose, but with the same sensation as if you were standing in front of a mirror trying to fog it with your breath. Adding texture, adding a light, audible quality to your breath. And that same sense of constriction at the back of your throat that took for you to do that, maintain that as you inhale as well. And the goal is that this victorious breath, we maintain this throughout the practice. So when it drops off, that's okay. It happens to everyone. But our task is to notice it and re-engage. Now walk your hands off to the right. Maybe the palm of your right hand comes all the way down off your mat. Maybe the palm of your left hand covers the top of your right hand. If your left hip point lifted up off your seat, off your heels rather, that's okay, but can you press them down a little bit? Can you lengthen between your left wrist and your left hip?
And feel a long opening stretch along the whole left plane of your body. And then bring your hands back into center and start to cross over onto the other side. Again, left hand may come all the way off the mat. Right hand may or may not cover the top of your left hand. And once again, press your seat back down and feel for a lengthening along the right plane of your body. And then bring your hands back into center. On an inhale, rise up into a tabletop position initially, and then walk your hands back toward your knees. And you can either sit back on your heels. Today, I'm going to choose to sit on a block. Right, we're going to do a little bit of wrist stretching. So take your left arm out behind you with your right middle finger and thumb, make a loop. Wrap that loop around your left wrist. Press the palm of your right hand into the top of your left hand. And as you exhale, press with your right hand and lightly compress your left wrist to the inside of your left forearm. Release. Exhale. And we'll move through this about 10 more times. So be gentle with this. In Japanese martial arts, this is a wrist lock. It's called Mikyo. So it would be easy enough to overdo it, and it is possible to injure yourself. So choose a level of sensation where you're flirting with a threshold between discomfort and pain. So it should never be painful. Now release that left wrist. Shake your left wrist out. Right wrist in front of your face. Middle finger, thumb of your left hand. Make a loop around your right wrist. The palm of your left hand presses into the top of your right hand. And again, about 10 times, lightly compress the palm of your right hand toward the inside of your right forearm. After about 10 times, shake your wrist out. Now tuck your toes up under your feet. And in fact, reach down with your fingers, tuck your pinky toes under as much as your big toes. And in this fire toe sensation, we're stretching the feet. So a lot of times we're not used to this kind of sensation in our feet, but you're in complete control. If you want to reduce the amount of sensation, simply lift your hips higher up toward the stars. If you want a little bit more sensation, drop your seat down toward your heels. And then take your hands about 2 inches in front of your thighs. On an inhale, sweep your arms up to shoulder height. Open them up to shoulder width. And then close back into center. Now imagine you're pulling the moon in towards your heart, pressing it out into the world, and then helping it to set in the ocean. So we're going to run through this about 2 more times. Up to shoulder height. Open out to shoulder width. Come back into center. Pull in towards your heart. Press out to the world. Sets in the sea. So adjust your feet as you need to. Shoulder height. Shoulder width. Come into center. Draw towards you. Press out for the world. Help it to set. And before we release this, we're going to do a little clearing. So on an inhale, sweep your arms up to shoulder height. And then visualize pressing a ball down into the water. And then come back into a tabletop position. Press the tops of your feet down into the mat. Maybe even pedal your feet gently out. The tops of your feet gently tapping the mat. And we're going to do a little bit of cat rolling. So on an inhale breath, tuck your toes under your feet. Turn the eyes of your elbows toward the top edge of your mat. Drop your belly down toward the earth. Open your heart up. Maybe lift your gaze slightly. So not cranking the neck way up, but somewhere a little bit short of that. Exhale, press your shins and your hands down into the earth, round through your shoulder blades. Inhale, drop your belly, open your heart, and cow. Exhale, press the point between your shoulder blades up toward the stars. And move through this cat rolling flow about 3 more times.
to the cadence of your own breath. And then come back to a nice flat back shape. After about 3 iterations, hands come slightly forward, and then lower yourself down. Belly comes down to the earth. Float your shoulders over your elbows, traction into your hands. Find a Sphinx pose. Press all 10 toes down into the mat, maybe enough that your knees lift up off the mat. Instead of pushing with the hands, can you pull, drawing your heart forward? So a sensation almost as if you were trying to tweeze your elbows back behind you. And often we tighten up and engage the core here, but I'm going to ask, can you do the opposite of that? Rather than engaging and tightening, can you soften your belly? Feel for a lengthening of your gut tissues. Inhale. Exhale, lower your heart down to the earth. Tee your left arm out to the side. Right hand comes under your right shoulder. We're going to go into broken wing. So on an inhale, press into your right hand, and you can rock your right shoulder up. Now for your body, your right shoulder may float directly over your left. That's not available to me. That's okay. So another option, if you're getting way too much sensation here, you can put an angle and take your forearm coming down at about a 45 degrees towards your waist. But I'm going to come back up to 90 degrees. All right, you can put a bend in your right knee, place that right foot behind your left knee. And you could do something to add sensation. You could walk, you can come up onto cupcake fingers with your right hand, walk that forward past the top edge of your mat. You could even choose to take a half bind behind your back. Inhale. Exhale. Bring your right hand under your right shoulder. Roll all the way back onto your belly. Then we're going to change sides. Tee your right arm out to the side. Walk the fingers of that right hand further over to the right. Left hand under your left arm. And on an inhale, press down into your left hand. Lift your left shoulder. Lift your left leg. Maybe step that left leg back behind your right knee. Maybe do something different with that left hand to add sensation. So walking forward, or again, a half bind behind your back. So we're going to be moving on to sun salutations in a few minutes. So the cat rolling that we did from tabletop position, if you're getting too much sensation in the sun salutations, you can come back to the cat rolling, or the first 2 rounds through, we'll do what I think of as a pretty accessible version of sun salutation A. Inhale right here. Exhale your left arm, left hand under your shoulder. Rock back down onto your belly. And then hands under your shoulders. Press yourself up and back to child's pose, right where we started. Inhale, rock forward, float your shoulders over your wrists, and with your elbows grazing your ribs, on an exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Hands come slightly forward. On an inhale, pull with your hands, press the tops of your feet down into the earth. Open your heart to the front edge of your mat. Easy cobra. Can you tweeze your elbows back behind you? Exhale. Press your heart down to the earth. Press your hips up and back through tabletop to child's pose. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, lower all the way down to your knees, or all the way down to your chest, rather. Inhale, open your heart, peel your heart forward, easy cobra. Exhale, child's pose. All right, so when we move on to classical sun salutations, if that's too much sensation, you can come back to these more gentle suns. Inhale, rock forward into the tabletop position. Tuck your toes under your feet. Exhale, press your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. So seat coming up toward the earth, toward the sky rather. Find some gentle movement with your lower body to warm yourself. So perhaps pedaling your feet out. You could sway your hips,
Sometimes I take the webbing between my right big toe and first toe and press that down onto the Achilles heel of my left foot to a little more traction down toward the earth. And you could do that same thing on the other side. And then find stillness in the lower body. A bend in your knees is okay here. If you've got tight hips and tight hamstrings and lower back, you're probably better served by a little bend in your knees. Index fingers at 12 o'clock. Press all 10 knuckles down into the mat, especially your index knuckle and thumb. Draw your elbows slightly down toward the mat. Feel your shoulders wrap into your armpits and relax your neck. Inhale. On an exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or step to the top edge of your mat, feet hip distance apart, into Uttanasana, ragdoll. Now, place a nice, generous bend in your knees, enough that your whole belly rests on your thighs. Your hands can drape down toward the earth. You might choose to grab opposite elbows and sway. There are lots of options here. Those are only two. But any variation of this that you like, go ahead and take that. Now, as you warm in the shape, if you like, you can choose to start lifting your seat higher up toward the stars. But leave your belly glued to your thighs the whole time. So for most bodies, that's going to mean a bend in the knees. Release your hands down to the earth. Heel toe your feet together. Big toes touch, a little space between the heels. Inhale, find Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Press your hands into your shins or your thighs. If you've got any bending in your lower back, put a bend in your knees until the bending comes out. The rounding, rather. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet and rise. Come all the way up to standing. Lift your gaze. Look up at your hands. Exhale, draw your hands down into heart center. Set a soft gaze at your fingertips, set an intention for your practice. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up overhead. Lift your gaze again. Interlace your middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Exhale right here. Inhale, press down into your feet, grow through the crown of your head and your fingers. Exhale, drop your hands off to the right. Press your hips over to the left. So kind of a standing banana type shape with your body here. And your gaze can be up under your left elbow. You can look down toward the floor, maybe towards your right foot, or anywhere in between, but choose something that feels okay for your neck. Inhale, lift up to center. Exhale, drop your hands off to the left. Press your hips over to the right. So 48 years old, I think a lot about repetitive movements and what are the motions that I do a lot, and are they things I'm still going to be able to do consistently 30 or 40 years from now, right? So the things like, do you crank your neck up toward the stars if that doesn't feel good for your neck, or do you let it relax to gaze down toward the earth if that's more sustainable? Inhale, lift back up to center, release your fingertips. Exhale, hinge at the hips into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your left leg back, lower down onto your left knee, and you can either tuck the toes of the left foot down onto your mat, you can press the top of your left foot down, sweep your arms all the way up overhead, Anjaneyasana. Engage with your left glute. Exhale your hands down to the earth, step your right leg back, find a high push-up position, high plank. Inhale, rock forward on your toes, float your shoulders over your wrists. And for this first one, we'll put our knees down. On an exhale, lower your knees. Elbows graze the ribs, come all the way down to your belly. Back to easy cobra. Inhale, peel your heart up. Exhale, press up and back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or step to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Come all the way up to standing. I missed about 4 steps there. That's okay, that happens. Exhale, hinge into a forward fold. So we're going to call that last one as a dress rehearsal. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step your left leg back. Rise up into Anjaneyasana.
Exhale, your hands down to the earth. Step back to high plank. Inhale in high plank. Exhale, knees up or down. Lower your heart down to the earth. Inhale, peel your heart up off the mat. Easy cobra. Exhale, find downward facing dog. Inhale right here. Exhale, step your left leg forward. Lower down into Anjaneyasana. So this is our first time on this side because I skipped it on the other one. So same options. You can come up onto the ball of that right foot, or you can press that right shin in the top of your right foot down into the earth. Inhale right here. On an exhale, hands come down to the earth, and you can step, 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 or launch that right foot forward, come into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet and rise. Come all the way up to standing. Maybe lift your gaze, look at your hands again. Exhale, forward fold. Little Samuel's losing his mind and barking at the dogs in the yard. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your right leg back. Anjaneyasana. Exhale, your hands down to the earth. Step your left leg back. Find high plank. Inhale in high plank. Exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Inhale, open your heart. Easy cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, right leg forward. Anjaneyasana on the second side. Exhale, hands to the top edge of your mat. Step your left leg forward, forward fold. So 2 more of these. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise. Come all the way up to standing. Maybe lift your gaze again. Maybe take a little back bend, pressing your hips forward toward the top edge of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your left leg back. Find Anjaneyasana. Exhale, high plank and lower all the way down to your belly. Inhale, open your heart. Now, if you don't like this easy cobra, Sphinx is a little bit more supportive, but it's basically the same shape. You can come back to that at any time. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, left leg forward. Anjaneyasana. Exhale, launch yourself forward. Forward fold to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet. Rise, come all the way up to standing. Maybe a little deeper back bend than you took the last time around. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your right leg back. Anjaneyasana. Engage in your right glute. Exhale, high plank, and lower all the way down to your belly. Inhale, open your heart. Easy cobra. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. And taking a deep, deep breath, maybe the deepest breath you've taken all day long. On an exhale, open your mouth, audibly sigh it out. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward, exhale, walk, step, or maybe float to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sit back into chair pose, Utkatasana. Your feet can be together. They can be up to hip distance apart, but press your shins back toward the back edge of your mat. So rock the weight into your heels. Maybe lift all 10 toes. And lengthen your tailbone down toward the earth. So what does that feel like? In my body, that feels like gently drawing my belly button toward my sternum. Inhale right here. Exhale, lower your seat another 2 inches closer to the earth. Good. Inhale. Exhale, find a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Inhale in your high plank. Exhale, knees up or down, chaturanga, come halfway down. And then heart opener, your choice. You could do Sphinx pose, easy cobra. I'm choosing upward facing dog, floating my shoulders over my wrist, pressing the tops of my feet down into the earth. And I'm doing a little bit of undulating side to side swaying right here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg up. Lift through the heel of that right foot and press through the heel.
like you were trying to stomp on the wall behind you. Turn your right toes down to face the mat. Inhale right here. Exhale, round forward. Replace your right hand with your right foot. Lower your left heel down to the earth. Rise up into Virabhadrasana, Warrior One. Right knee floating over your right ankle. Take a moment, square your hips or your shoulders, either to the top edge of your mat or that upper left-hand corner. And then if your arms are tired or your shoulders are tweaky, hands at heart center, lotus hands are just fine. But otherwise, fingers come up toward the stars, biceps frame your ears, spiral your pinky fingers in toward one another. Inhale right here. Exhale, maybe a little deeper bend in your right knee. Inhale. Exhale, press down into the pinky edge blade of your left foot. Inhale. Exhale, your hands down to the earth. Step your right leg back. High plank. Low plank. Inhale, heart opener of your choice. Exhale, press back up and back to downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up. And just like the other side, really lengthen out. So maximize the distance between your fingertips and that left heel. Exhale, step it forward, find Warrior One. Take all the time you need to really arrive and settle into this shape. And use this as a template. Have it be strong enough that it's the template for every other Warrior One in your practice today. Inhale. Exhale, soften the muscles around your eyes, soften the quality of your gaze. We use the phrase drishti for gaze, and that's the point of the gaze. That's the point of focus, but it also refers to the quality of the gaze. And in general, in yoga, we're looking for a soft quality. Inhale. Exhale, your hands down to the earth, high plank, and either press directly back to downward facing dog, or you can flow through a vinyasa to the cadence of your own breath. The vinyasa would be high plank to low plank, heart opener your choice, and we'll meet again in downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward, exhale, move to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sit back into chair pose, nice and low. We're going to be here for 4 breaths. Rock the weight into your heels again. Lengthen through your tailbone again. Open your heart to the front edge of your mat a little bit more, which may involve lifting your gaze, but I would not like to see your neck cranked way back. Inhale. Exhale, find a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, your hands down to the mat, high plank, low plank, upward facing dog, or any other heart opener. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your right heel up. Exhale, step it forward into Warrior One. Stabilize on your inhale. And then on an exhale, bring your hands down to the mat, step back to high plank. And again, either press directly back to down dog or flow through a vinyasa to the cadence of your own breath. Inhale your left leg up. Exhale, Warrior One on the second side. Inhale on your rise. Exhale, your hands down to the earth, high plank. An option to press to down dog or flow through a vinyasa. Draw in a deep, deep breath. And then open your mouth, let that all go. Inhale your right heel up. Exhale, step it forward, come back to Anjaneyasana. But this time, head floats over shoulders, over your hips, hands on your right thigh. And again, you can press the top of your left foot with a ball of that left foot down into the earth. So toes can be tucked or untucked. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, engage your left glute. Rock your hips any amount closer forward toward that right heel. Inhale, rise back up to center. Exhale, rock forward. Inhale, rise and lift.
Exhale, rock forward. Now interlace your hands on the top of your right thigh, just above the knee. Engage your left glute, and then use your arms, press that right kneecap forward towards the top edge of your mat. Your hips may lower down toward that right heel any amount more. So like your heart lifted and open here, but can you relax that whole left hip flexor and the whole front plane of your body otherwise? Inhale, lift back up to center. Exhale, the palm of your left hand down to the mat, or I'm going to choose to take mine to a block today. Palm of your right hand on your right thigh. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head forward past the top edge of your mat. Exhale, twist your heart to the right as you twist your hips to the left. This is a modified simple twist. Right, so a couple of options. You can maintain a static hold. In this case, each inhale is an invitation to lengthen through the crown of your head. Each exhale is an invitation to press more firmly in your right hand, opening your heart more. But twist your hips to the left every bit as much as you open your heart to the right. Or on each inhale, release slightly out of the twist. Exhale, twist your heart back up and to the right, or up and to the right rather. In this gentle cycling movement, if you've chosen that, you can choose to maintain that to the cadence of your own breath. And then movement or not, find some stillness. If you've got a block under your left hand, lower that left hand down to the earth. And then step your right leg back, float your right hip directly over your left hip into a modified side plank. There's a tendency for the upper body to cave forward here. So press the back of your head backwards, press your hips forward, maybe float your right hand, right arm, right shoulder over your left shoulder, left arm, left hand, and press out of the left shoulder joint. So another option here is you can lift up out of this modified side plank, lift that left knee up off the earth, and then maybe lift your hips another 2 inches up toward the stars. Inhale right here. Exhale, lower your right hand down to the earth. Inhale, rock forward on your toes. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, heart opener of your choice. Exhale, press up and back into downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or float to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Heel to your feet, hip distance apart. Wrap your peace fingers around your big toes. Enough of a bend in your knees, your belly glues to your thighs. Now leaving your belly glued to your thighs, start to lift your sits bones up toward the stars, drop the crown of your head down toward the earth. But for most bodies, if the belly stays glued to the thighs, there will be a bend in the knees. So if that's your experience, that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Release your toes, heel toe your feet together. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, find a high plank and either press directly back to down dog or go through low plank, any heart opener, to downward facing dog. Inhale the heel of your left foot up. Exhale, step it forward into Anjaneyasana. To start, head floats over shoulders, over hips, hands on top of your left thigh. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, engage your right glute. Lower your hips any amount forward and closer to that left heel. Inhale, rise. Inhale, rock forward. Inhale, rise. Exhale, rock forward and hold. Interlace your hands on the top of that left thigh, just above the knee. As you engage your right glute, press your left kneecap forward. Relax your hip flexors. Maybe your hips descend any amount down toward that left heel. then start to come all the way up again. Release your hands. Modified simple twist on the second side. So again, options here. On an inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, press into your left hand. Rotate your heart to the left, your hips to the right. And stay right here. Or option on each inhale, a little bit of slack in your twist. Exhale, come more deeply into the twist again. And again, if I love this cycling movement, if this doesn't work for you, that's okay. But if you like it, you can maintain this to the cadence of your own breath. And then movement or not, find some stillness. Right hand down to the mat, step your left leg back. Any version of side plank. So it could be modified with the knee down, could be with that right knee lifted, but flex the toes on both feet. Press the back of your head back behind you. Lift your hips a little bit more. Inhale right here. Exhale, left hand down to the mat. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Draw in a deep, deep breath and hold it at the top. On an exhale, let that all go. And then on an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, move to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Heel toe your feet at the hip distance apart. So you can take the Pada Gustasana we did before, or slide your entire hand under your foot so that the toes come up to give your wrists a little bit of a massage. Bend in the knees, belly glues to the thighs. Rock the weight into the balls of your feet, super light in the heels. Start lifting your sits bones up toward the stars. Lower the crown of your head down toward the earth. Release your hands from under your feet. Heel toe your feet together. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet and rise. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale, like a hot knife coming through butter. Hands slide through heart center. And set up down by your waist, palms facing forward. Samasthiti. Shift the weight into the heels. Now, the weight of your body should keep your legs from physically moving, but energetically slide your heels apart. Then slide your thighs apart. Now feel your sits bones spread apart. Lengthen through your tailbone again. Belly button, draw slightly to sternum. Maybe take the back of your head back behind you by about a ½ inch. Now, on an inhale, to your arms out to the side. On an exhale, right elbow under your left, grab opposite shoulders. Open your right hip up, come onto the ball of that right foot. The heel of that right foot rests on the inside of the left thigh. Sit back as if you were in a chair. So this, I think of this as eagle hatchling. Right, so you can stay right here this whole time. Or wrap your right arm under your left, wrap your right knee over your left. Squeeze your thighs together. Sit back into the chair. So nobody's head is going to be floating over the shoulders, over the hips. But visualize that and come as close to that as you can. Now lift your elbows up toward the stars. Press your forearms forward past the top edge of your mat. Find a point of focus, your drishti, something that's not moving. Settle your attention right there. And then gently unwind, sapling. Right hip stays open. You can start with the ball of your right foot down on the earth, the heel of your right foot on the inside of your left leg. Maybe hands at heart center. You can stay right here. Or press the sole of your right foot anywhere on the inside of your left thigh. Maybe stay away from the knee. And the inside of the left thigh presses back into that right foot. Hands at heart center. You can take reverse namaste, hands behind your back. Or maybe your tree grows branches and reaches for the sun. But from here, press your right knee back toward the back edge of your mat. And then can you lengthen out between your right kneecap and your left hip point? Any amount more. And if you're struggling with the balance in either of these shapes,
Birds of prey fall out of nests, especially hatchlings. They get right back up. Trees fall over and reroot themselves in the ground. So if that happens, just bring yourself back up. Now slowly, deliberately, with control, draw everything down through center. Maybe shake your legs out a little bit. And then we'll come back into Samasthiti. Inhale, sweep your arms up to shoulder height. Exhale, wrap your left elbow under your right, and you can set up for either eagle hatchling, or you can take an eagle pose. Squeeze your thighs together. Maybe your left foot wraps behind your right shin calf. That's never been my experience, but if that's yours, that's wonderful. Feel for a spreading between your shoulder blades here. And then unwind any version of tree pose, including sapling. Balance is coming super easy for you today. You feel like you don't even have to try. Either close your eyes or lift your gaze up toward the stars. Right. Think about the weather we've had here in Houston. We've had lots of rain followed by warm sunny days. Trees respond really well to that. So press down into the sole of your right foot. Grow out of the crown of your head another inch. And then draw everything down through center. Come back into Samasthiti. On an inhale, sweep your arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, hinge into a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, high plank, a high push-up position, and hold. Inhale right here. On an exhale, lower your knees down to the earth. Side settle your legs off to the side. Come onto your back. Now, I'm going to change the orientation to my mat, which I don't recommend for you, but I think it'll be easier to see where we're going. And we're going to move into some bridges. So feet and knees both hip distance apart. Do a visual check and confirm that. Heels in close enough to your seat that you could reach your fingers down. You could gently brush them. Now on an inhale, draw your belly button towards your sternum. Feel your sacrum press down into the earth. Exhale, press down into your feet, especially the heels, and then walk your shoulder blades back up onto your back. Right, so in my yoga tradition, typically this is taught with knees floating over the ankles, but I actually like this too with the knees each coming to the outside by about an inch on either side outside of the ankle. So that's okay too. But press more firmly into your feet. Lift your thighs, lift your hips a little bit more. Exhale, one vertebra at a time, lower all the way down to your back. We're going to stay here for one whole breath, one whole inhale, one whole exhale. And then your next inhale, draw your belly button towards your sternum. Exhale, press into your feet, especially the heels. Lift your thighs and hips. Same arms, or interlace your hands behind your back. Press the palms of your hands together if you can. Press your knuckles down towards your heels. Come up a little bit higher. And then slowly, deliberately, with control, come all the way down. We're going to stay on that whole spine for one whole breath, one whole inhale, one whole exhale. And we're going to do one more. So you can do any arm variation, or reach your arms out over your head. Interlace your thumbs. Reach them up over your head. Inhale, draw your belly button towards your sternum. Exhale, press down into your heels. Lift your thighs, lift your hips. Walk your shoulder blades back up under your back. You can stay right here on this bridge, or you can join me in some hip drops. So to do that, put a little bit of a slack in your bridge. So lower your hips down a little bit. I'm going to count to three times. On the three, generously lift your hips up to full extension. 1, 2, 3, lift. And then you can stay right here, or if you're going to join us in some hip drops, put some slack in first, and then 1, 2, 3, lift. Put a little bit of slack in your bridge. 1, 2, 3, lift, and hold right here. Press more firmly down into your heels. Lift your thighs and hips a little bit more. And then slowly, with control, lower all the way down. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining bound angle pose. Bring the soles of your feet together.
Press the pinky edge blades of your feet down into the earth. Maybe one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. The backs of your hands can be down on your mat or the floor of your home, anywhere from down by your waist to all the way up over your head. Take your hands to the outside of your knees. Gently draw your knees back up to center. Now float your knees over your hips, shins parallel to the earth. Flex all 10 toes back towards your face. I call this cup and saucer flow. So make a cup with your left hand, cup it over your left knee. Make a saucer with your right hand. Place that saucer on your right knee. Now your hands are going to prevent any movement of your legs, but press your left heel forward like you're trying to press past the top edge of your mat. Draw your right knee in like you're trying to touch your chin. And maintain that resistance the whole time. And then release. Cup with your right hand, cupped over your right knee. Saucer with your left hand placed on your left knee. Press the heel of your right foot forward. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. Maintain that resistance. All right, no dead fish feet here. So if your feet have gone to sleep, wake them back up again. Flex all 10 toes back towards your face. My little friend Samuel just made a cameo appearance here. Release. Make a fist with your right hand. Place it between your knees. Flex, reflex your toes back towards your face. Then use your knees. Squeeze that fist. Relax. Cup with your right hand on your right knee. Saucer with your left hand on your left knee. Press your right heel forward. Draw your left knee back towards your chest. Relax. Change sides. Cup with your left hand. Saucer with your right. Press that left heel forward. Draw the right knee in. So this, I sequestered this from physical therapy into my yoga practice, but this is an energetic release for the SI joint. So people who potentially can injure their SI joint from over twisting in yoga, this can bring some immediate relief at times, but also really subtle core engagement, but super intense. So my abs are really turned on right now. Relax. Make a fist with your left hand. Place it between your knees. Flex all 10 toes back towards your face. Squeeze your fist with your knees. Relax. Lower your feet down to the earth. Good work, friends. That's not easy. Take the pinky edge blade of your right foot, place it on the outside of your left thigh, just above the knee. And then we've created a little triangle shaped cavity here. So thread your right hand through that cavity. Interlace your hands either on the back of your left thigh or on that left shin. Flex the toes on your right foot back towards your right knee. Flex the toes on your left foot back towards your face. Now, with your arms, draw your left knee in towards your chest. Press your right knee forward toward the top edge of your mat. And feel for a sense of opening through the hips. Gently release that. Lower your left foot down to the earth. Release your right foot. And this immediately set up for the other side. Pinky edge blade of your left foot comes to the outside of your right thigh. Now, same thing. You can thread that left arm through, interlace on the back of your thigh. Here's the thing. This shape, I'm getting all the sensation I need right now. I had a hip replacement less than 5 months ago. So I'm going to stabilize my left ankle with my right hand, and I'm going to use my left hand to press my left inner thigh forward, pressing that knee forward. So hip replacement or not, every body is different. So if you're getting all the sensation you need without having to thread your arms through your legs and draw that right knee in, that is okay, friends. Rather than shoehorning your body into the poses, the shapes of these poses, what can you do to modify the poses to fit your body and your body's needs? Hello, Samuel. Relax your thread the needle, release your left foot down to the earth. We're going to take a happy baby pose. So I'm going to do this maybe differently than you've seen before. So set up like we're doing a bridge again. and then press into the soles of your feet. Place the block just under your sacrum, and then take the soles of your feet parallel to the earth. Your hands can come out to the pinky edge blades of your feet. You can wrap your peace fingers around your big toes, and then use your arms to traction your knees down toward the earth. Maybe a little bit of side-to-side rocking movement would feel good. Be a joyful baby. So for sustainability of your practice, in happy baby pose, I really feel like your whole spine should be down on the earth. And a lot of people can't do that because of tightness in the hamstrings, the lower back, and immobility in the hips. So if that's the case, just placing this block under the sacrum could make your happy baby happier. Another option, and I'll show in another practice, is using a strap for your happy baby, which is also wonderful. Find some stillness. Lower your feet down to the earth. We're going to take a supine twist. So to your arms out to the side, cross your right knee over your left, walk your hips over to the right, and then drop your knees off to the left. Maybe shift the gaze out over the fingers of your right hand. Right, so if for your body, you're getting way too much sensation in this twist right now, you can unwrap your right knee and you can shift your gaze up toward the stars. Right, I'm going to be doing that on the other side. The other thing that you can do, and what I did for probably 3 months after my hip replacement, is place a block or a bolster between my knees when I do a supine twist. And that helped that pose be more constructive, useful, and sustainable for me. On an inhale, shift your gaze up toward the stars, lift your knees, unwind your legs, cross your left knee over your right, or if you already know you got too much sensation on the other side that way, uncross the knee. Walk the hips over to the left, drop your knees off to the right, and check this out. I'm unwinding that leg, dropping my knees off to the right. My gaze is going to be up toward the stars. And I can still press that left shoulder down. I'm getting all the twist I need. So sometimes we treat these twists like if a little twist is good, then a lot is great. And that simply long-term has not been my experience. So when you're in a twisting pose, anytime you start to lose your breath or you're getting pain in your lower back, too much twist. Right, so think about how do you use your props to reduce the amount of sensation in a shape like this. I already mentioned a block or a bolster between your knees. You could do the same thing under my right knee right now. I could prop up a block and that would reduce the sensation a little bit. So I'll do a video sometime about some ways to use your props to increase sensation too, because it can work either way. On an inhale, shift your gaze back up toward the stars, lift your knees up, and then however you want to get there, make your way into the final resting shape of your practice. This can be a conventional Shavasana. It can be on your back, hands down by your waist, palms facing the sky, anywhere from down by your waist to all the way up over your head. You can take a constructive rest shape with a bend in your knees, feet out nice and wide, maybe mat width apart, and let your knees cave in and rest on one another. Maybe hands at the bottom of your rib cage. If you've maintained your Ujjayi breath, that victorious breath, the whole practice, go ahead and release that now. Come back to a comfortable, natural breath. You've worked hard for the last hour, and here in this shape, our only task is to surrender to our mat.
Swallow 2 or 3 times. And then start to bring your body back to life after this time of rest by drawing some deeper breaths. You can maintain stillness this whole time. You can change nothing. You also have the option to start to reanimate your body with some very small movements, perhaps wiggling your fingers and your toes or gently drawing your chin from shoulder to shoulder. You can change nothing. You can maintain stillness. You can stick with the small movements. You also have the option to choose to start to reanimate with some larger movements, maybe rotating your hands at the wrists, your feet at the ankles. If a full body stretch would feel good, you could reach your arms all the way up overhead. Maybe your fingers coming well up past the back edge of your mat. Point through your toes, reach them forward, maybe extending past the top edge of your mat. Maybe the center of your back even lifts up off the earth. And then one knee at a time, draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze. Recognize and honor yourself for your hard work on your mat today, your devotion to your practice, your courage for unrolling your mat and showing up for yourself. And then roll onto either side in a simple fetal position, a child's sleeping pose. Check in with your body. Notice the way that you feel. And if that feeling is better than when you started, then our sacred task is to take that good feeling and spread it throughout the world. Press yourself up into a seated position with your legs crossed, your eyes closed, thumbs at your sternum, hands at heart center facing the top edge of your mat or perhaps your device. Thank you, sisters and brothers. It's always an honor to serve you. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you know peace. Draw your thumbs up to your Ajna chakra, the point between your eyebrows. The spark of the divine in me recognizes, honors, and bows down before the spark of the divine within you. Namaste. Great job, friends. Thank you for joining me today. Letty and I are going to be dropping a new Vinyan practice to the channel, Rolling Hills practice, to the channel here in another few days.